Hello and welcome to Chat DPS. This is episode 64, apparently. So we've been doing some good work, and here we are this week. And today we want to focus a little bit on AI, and we're looking at Mythos. And this is not the book written by Stephen Fry, talking about Greek mythology. This is looking into the abyss of the successor to Claude opus. So we're talking all things AI. Mythos was announced in April 2026 and is credited with for being its high level of reasoning and advanced code abilities. So I have special dispensation today, and I have two CISOs, Adam Cunningham and Adam Green, along with Robert Feldman, who's a lawyer. So hopefully we should get some common sense out of the discussion. So this could be fun. This could be fun. But I'm going to start with Adam Cunningham first. He's going to set the scene around this. So Adam, would you like to sort of like give us some insight, first of all? What is Mythos?
So basically, from an Anthropic perspective, which are the makers of Claude, this is their new model. So a new model comes out every now and again. Usually it goes around a new product. So for example, everyone knows about like New Journey and those type of models that came out that just became better with video. And as these next generation or new versions come out, they become a new end. So everyone knows about Claude, and Claude's big model is Opus, and now Mythos, which is the next level on. It's just got better understanding of things, better reasoning, better mathematical potential, and that's basically how it runs. So there's always a breakthrough. This is happening like once a quarter now, maybe once every 6 months, where one will become so much better than the rest, and then the rest will catch up and go further. They kind of build on themselves. I think it's important to note that there's a lot of bullshit around this right now. So it's important for us to understand, I suppose, what's true and what's not true. So there's been a few things in the news lately with this model in specifically. So this model specifically talked about how it's found hundreds of vulnerabilities in software that's been around forever, like FreeBSD, for example, that had been looked over by people for 25 years. It's important to note that, first of all, there's no actual evidence or third-party validated evidence that any of these exist. Number one. Number two, that was brought out. It's Anthropic itself is going IPO soon. So there is a little bit of hype. What I can say from a couple of things that really did happen. So the UK AI Safety Institute, the AS or the UAISI, whatever they're called. So they tested it in a capture the flag scene, and it got 73% of the tasks that it needed to get to, which is actually really, really good. So from a pen tester perspective, that's above average. That's really, really good. It is important to understand, though, that is in an environment that has no protections. It has no hardening. It has nothing watching it, no monitoring, no endpoint protection, right? None of the usual sides of things. So it's important to understand where these things are at. And
it's kind of like when you and I did a podcast without Nick or Robert on. Just
allegedly,
complete holus bolus, no parental guidance at all.
Your three wheels on your wagon, yeah.
It is important to note that, like, it is very impressive. Don't get me wrong, right? So for an AI model to be able to score so highly from a CTF perspective is something that hasn't happened before. So the technology is absolutely moving in leaps and bounds and will help us to administer better protections in the future, which is really important. But like the claim of 2,000 odd vulnerabilities, this is a number that they have given to everybody. There's no independent verification. The biggest things as well, I suppose, something to go through. There was a number of media appointments where it said it's too dangerous to release, which is, BS. At best, it's altruism, but it's a bit
of marketing stunt.
There's a bit of
marketing speak in there.
Yeah. There's another one that I read online recently from TechCrunch or one of those media outlets. It had said that AI can hack anything, anywhere, at any time. And again, at the moment, it's working very well in CTS. But if you were to add in the multi-layered end of security that most businesses have, can it get through these different layers of defense? It's completely untested. What I will say is important on this one. So Mythos itself, it's not loose on the public. Currently, I believe it's gone out to about 40 organizations. There has been a couple of people that got access that shouldn't have, but overall 40 companies have access to it. The other thing is, it's important to note that this is probably still like 12 months out from the general populace. 6 to 12 months out from the general populace. So we know it's coming. We know that there's a capability, and everybody, because it's cool to attack things, everybody's research has been on attacking things. But as with all the rest, Opus just came out with a 0.7 version, and I've used it in looking at security vulnerabilities, and it is pretty amazing by itself. So we still have the same tools to use to defend as we do to attack. So it's not the end of the world. And we have to be careful because there's just a lot of fluff out there.
There's a lot of fluff by Robert's side there too.
Yes, there's a lovely
the
cat that came.
Mythos mascot.
Never work with children and animals.
Exactly.
Mine's stuck outside at the moment, so
I'm just waiting for mine to come in and start howling.
It'd be lots of fun, cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Robert, just a few words from yourself around, sort of like what this actually means. So what we're learning is the fact that there's an awful lot of marketing bullshit flying around at this moment in time saying,
Yeah.
this is one thing, it's not another. And,
Mhm.
where's the common sense in some of this stuff from a legal perspective and, sort of like looking after yourself perspective?
Let's put a GRC lens on it. So I know that there's been a bit of media buzz about regulators all over the world getting into a little bit of a flap. And particularly looking at it from a critical infrastructure perspective. A lot of talk about regulators talking. So from an Australian point of view, ASIC and APRA talking with the banks and kind of going, hey, and look, taking it seriously. Look, it may be that this is something that is 6 or 12 months away from being on general release. But hey, if people can pop onto a Discord channel and figure out how to get access to it, then you know that somebody is probably going to get access to it sooner rather than later. So it's one of those parts of GRC. It's keeping yourself aware of latest developments and trying to figure out what you should be doing in order to make sure you're securing your organization, critical infrastructure organization, banks, whatever it might be, and making sure that you're up to speed and you are educating your people about this particular new development out there. So and as we know, it's designed for generally good things, but it can also be used for attacking organizations as well. It's just another in a long list of using AI to either defend or attack organizations. So here's the latest iteration. So I guess from a common sense point of view, it's okay. Let's be aware of this. Let's work together. So the regulators and the key players should be working together to figure out, okay, what do we need to do about this to make sure that we have defense in depth, that we make sure that our staff are well aware of this particular development, that we speak to our third-party suppliers as well and make sure that they're doing a sufficient hardening. And it comes back to the basics. And I'm sure the Adams will talk about making sure your patching's up to date and all this kind of stuff. So from a common sense point of view, it's looking at your risks and it's putting the appropriate mitigations in place.
Yeah, so from my perspective, looking at this from the outside in, you've got an organization that's actually launched this. They've really grabbed the attention of everybody and said, hey guys, this is way too powerful to put out into the open market by itself. So it's sort of like a reverse psychology kind of an arrangement. Adam Green, what about these, sort of like the differences here between paid versions and unpaid versions and all the other bits and pieces that are going on? People can't access this at the moment anyway, because it's under strict control by Anthropic, right?
Except for the couple of times it hasn't been. But
Except for the couple of times it hasn't been, yeah.
I do have one question for you, Robert. In a courtroom or in a paper, have you referred to someone as nefarious?
Not usually. No, it doesn't usually get that flowery.
Okay. Yeah, because I
just between us friends, Yeah.
Picture a judge going nefarious. Can you elaborate more on that for me, please, Robert? But no. So yeah, paid versions versus free versions. As Adam and I both say, more Adam than me. If it's free, then you are the product and you're the one training the models. And we all freely gave up all of our information on social media platforms, and they sneakily slide more information in, or information sharing in there for training their models. But as an organization, having paid versions means you have greater control. And when you've got the paid versions, you have greater control over the security controls on those versions as well. But I want to pick up on something Adam said and sort of elaborate further on that. And that is the comment that AI can hack anything. Well, we still haven't actually seen a full AI-born, fully executed attack yet. What we have seen is the barrier to entry has dropped dramatically. And initially that was around phishing attacks, because you could actually come out with a much better phishing simulation or a much better phishing email, because you could now localize the language and you could now ask it with context and persona. You could ask it to actually speak like a person you want it to speak like, especially if it's someone who has some published works out there. And that even includes stuff that's visible on LinkedIn. And we all like to brag about how bloody great we are on LinkedIn. So it's easy to find context. But then the barrier to entry to become an attacker may be lower now, because if you've got someone who's bored enough and inquisitive enough and understands how to program right, then, or not program, but prompt engineer correctly, you can trick the AI into helping you become pretty proficient at attacking someone or something.
So
You can't just straight out, sorry, you go.
So what I'm thinking of here is this as is this as simple as, sort of like, I remember in corporate life in years gone by, we were always talking about getting the problem question, correct, so that we absolutely knew what the problem was, and then we could actually deal with what the solution was going to be afterwards. Are we in the same sort of like zone with this?
Yeah, so not to send out a training manual for those that wish to become nefarious, but if we look at where we want to go, and you look at the way most people prompt in AI and the way most people are using AI, we're using training wheels, and it's kind of, we've just replaced Google with asking Claude or Chat or Copilot or name your LLM. And if you break it down, you think about if you had have got a new staff member. So like Adam could come to any of us on this call and go, I need you to go do that. And we can, because we have knowledge and we know each other and we're resourceful. We have a new staff member come in who has no idea how your business operates. You have to give them a whole bunch of subset instructions so they understand, where's the coffee machine? Where are the coffee pods kept? Who do I call when the coffee pods run out? Where's the milk? Where's the bloody almond milk? Who's there squeezing the nuts that long that we get that much milk? And then, so there's all these questions, and then that's how we actually grow. We grow the prompt so that it actually gives us a meaningful output. I think for those that really want to get proficient at using AI for nefarious reasons, understanding how to do prompt engineering so that we can actually, so you can build the skill base and build the skill set and the sub agents and everything else, that's where we start to see it will become a much lower barrier of entry into getting into bad acting. And I don't mean bad acting as in like John Travolta movies, but then you would then if we piss off John Travolta and he leaves a comment on this on the YouTube channel, then we've achieved
I'm a big
something.
fan, by the way.
Yeah, I loved what was it? Swordfish. It's like the greatest hacking movie of all time.
You're going to get everyone in Scientology after us. Stop it.
Actually, that starts to expand the base a bit. But yeah, so I guess that was a long way of answering that. As an organization, we worried about shadow IT, we worried about shadow networking. Now we have to worry about shadow AI and shadow LLMs, because
So Adam,
daily we get the question.
Adam Cunningham, just over to you again, my friend. The ability for this to sort of like move forward, are there concerns, or is it all concern, or is it just opportunity as well, or is there a nice balance in here?
I think it's a nice balance. I think there's a lot of opportunity in this across the board. I think it's important to understand that, like with Mythos, it's coming. There's not much you can do about it, but all of the same things that you have been doing still work. putting time into hardening, putting time into authentication, putting time into multi-factor, all these things that you've been doing anyway, still work in the world where Mythos is unleashed onto the general populace. And of course, OpenAI have a new model they're looking at as well. So there'll be more of these that will happen, like I said, every 6 to 12 months. Which is why I'm a firm believer in the KISS methodology, right? So just keep
Keep
it
it
simple
simple. Yeah.
as much as you can, and it's much easier to put these in. When these tools come out, look at utilizing them in the workflows that you're building today to make your workflows better. So you can defend just as well as you can attack with them. So that's where the opportunity is.
Okay.
And on the keeping it simple, like there's the three key things we can do to get these things, like to get ahead of these things. Number one is education. So tabletop exercises and educating staff, and that's educating people on how to. I'm surprised we've got this far in and Adam hasn't used his tagline, but it's what is it, Adam? How do we teach them? What do we teach them to do?
We teach them to keep up with the basics. Absolutely.
No,
I think what he's referring to was your talk last week down in Adelaide, where you were teaching people how to run with scissors.
Run with scissors safely.
Yes. So teaching people to run with scissors safely, because it's coming, we can't stop it. They're going to use it. If we embrace it as organizations, then we have better control and we have a better chance of defending as a culture. Secondly, get the endpoint protection side of things up to scratch and continually review that. And third, our favorite term, I think our producer has put out videos of us saying this so many times, but business email compromise is not going away. Business email compromise may be on the rise. Look for ways to protect yourself from business email compromise.
Yeah. And if you need to know anything about that, speak to somebody at DPS, because they've got an absolutely fantastic AI tool that does that for you. Robert, I think you've got some comments before we close, mate.
Just quickly, I'd say, we always talk about it's a matter of when, not if. I think as these models get smarter and smarter, and you look at it from a risk perspective, particularly if you're critical infrastructure, your risk factor probably went up another 10 points or so. If you're non-critical, it's probably gone up at least 5 points. So it's about recognizing that the chances of the when happening to you this year has gone up. I say it's about putting the appropriate mitigations in place. It's like taking this stuff seriously, putting things in place, doing the basics, but also thinking about how you protect your data, as we often say.
And we've learned a new word this week in nefarious, so that's all very good. We can do the dictionary.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
That's
Nefarious.
right. Chat DPS was brought to you by the letter N.
And the number 64. Yeah. Okay. Gents, that was Chat DPS for this week. Great chat. Great insight. Thank you very much indeed. And look forward to catching up again very soon. All the best.
Thanks, everyone.